Shalom, brothers and sisters. I will be breaking down Revelation chapter 8, beginning with the 6th verse, on the behalf of the seven angels with the seven trumpets that prepared themselves to sound. I am your host, Shabar Israel, also known as J.K. the Legend. So we're going to get straight into these scriptures and we'll analyze them the best way possible. So Revelation chapter 8, right here, beginning with the 6th verse. And the seven angels which had the seven trumpets prepared themselves to sound. So it's going to talk about seven angels and seven trumpets. And I will break down each trumpet for you guys. Revelation 8 and 7. The first angel sounded, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood. And they were cast upon the earth. And the third part of the trees was burnt up, and all the green grass was burnt up. Now, I'm not going to give you precept from precept because we will be here all day. I'm just going to give you what's necessary for these seven trumpets. So it speaks of the first angel in Revelation 8, verse 7. When he sounded the trumpet, basically what happened, it says that hail and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth, and the third part of the trees was burnt up, and all the green grass was burnt. Now I'm going to break it down, brothers and sisters. The first angel that sounded that trumpet is basically talking about 70 AD. 70 AD. Some may call it the Roman Jewish War. Basically, that's when the Romans slaughtered thousands of the Jews, the black Jews, and they also they sacked Jerusalem and they burned the temple down. So 70 AD, you might want to look into that. 70 AD, on the general Vespasian and his son Titus, they put an end to the Jews, demolishing the Jews, burning the temple, sacking Jerusalem. Okay, and this is what it's talking about. 70 AD. That's the first trumpet that's being sounded off by this first angel. 70 AD, brothers and sisters. Now, when you look into it, I know it says that there were basically hail and fire mingled with blood. And we'll go over that, the hail and fire that was mingled with blood, brothers and sisters. We will go over that. So, we're not going to take a whole lot of time because we have a lot of more angels that blew trumpets to break down. So, let's go to, I believe this is, we're going to look at Ezekiel 5. So, let me get this Bible here. And as you can see, this is Ezekiel. As you can see there, Ezekiel 5. And we'll read 1 through 4 to show you about the fire and all the blood concerning the first angel that sounded the trumpet. Ezekiel 5 and 1. And thou, son of man, take thee a sharp knife, take thee a barber's razor, and cause it to pass upon thy head and upon thy beard. Then take thee balances to weigh, and divide the hair. Okay, because this is the sign that the Most High was giving Ezekiel signs on the behalf of the disobedience of the children of Israel and what will happen to them. Ezekiel 5 and 2. Thou shalt burn with fire a third part in the midst of the city. See? So he tells Ezekiel to do what? To take thee balances to weigh and to divide the hair. And thou shalt burn with fire a third part in the midst of the city. Now, that's talking about basically 70 AD. We will show you this. When the days of the siege, okay, 70 AD, the siege of Jerusalem. Okay, even though this was talking about Babylonians coming in and also destroying the temple of Jerusalem in the year 586 BC. It's also talking about the Romans that seized Jerusalem and burnt the temple in 70 AD. So this is twofold here. So thou shalt burn with fire a third part in the midst of the city. When the days of the siege are fulfilled, thou shalt take a third part and smite about it with a knife. And a third part, see? A third part. A third part, brothers and sisters, right? Now, did it not say that concerning the first angel that sounded the trumpet? A third part thou shalt scatter in the wind, and I will draw out a sword after them. So the third part right here is talking about the southern kingdom of Israel. The nation of Israel consists of 12 tribes, but the third part of the 12 tribes is the southern kingdom, which makes up Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, those three tribes, which is known as the southern kingdom, the Jews. Okay? Brothers and sisters, this is Ezekiel 5 and 3. Thou shalt also take thereof a few in number, and bind them in thy skirts. Ezekiel 5 and 4. We will stop here. Then take of them again and cast them into the midst of the fire. See? Cast them into the midst of the fire and burn them in the fire. For therefore thereof shall a fire come forth into all the house of Israel. And that fire came basically 586 BC with the Babylonians destroying the Jerusalem temple the first time. And who else came and destroyed it behind the Babylonians? The Romans did. Okay, so, and when we go back to Revelation 8, concerning Revelation 8, verse 7, says the first angel sounded, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood. We know according to what? We know according to Ezekiel, the 5th chapter, beginning with verse 1, stopping on verse 4. That's talking about the southern kingdom of Israel that was demolished by first the Babylonians and secondly the Romans. So you can see right there, that's primarily 70 AD. That's what the first angel on the behalf of him blowing the trumpet. Okay, that's the hail and fire mingled with blood. And they were cast upon the earth. See, the Jews. They was cast upon the earth. To be cast upon the earth means to be trodden down, to be trodden underfoot. It says in the third part of the trees. Now, this is not talking about literal trees here, brothers and sisters. This is talking about the southern kingdom of Israel, which consists of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, being personified as trees, brothers and sisters, that was burnt up in 70 AD destruction. And all the green grass was burnt up. For those of you that don't believe that the third part, which consists of the three tribes, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, the Jews, is in reference to trees, I will give you precepts concerning that as well on the behalf of Revelation 8 and 7. So let's give you the precept on concerning the trees being the southern kingdom of Israel. All right. Now we are in the book of Judges, chapter 8, as you can see. And we're going to start with the 22nd verse on the behalf of showing you that the southern kingdom, which is the third part of the nation of Israel, is what you would call the trees and the grass concerning Revelation, the 8th chapter, and the 7th verse. So this is Judges, and we'll start with verse 22. Okay, this is talking about on the behalf of Gideon. All right. Gideon that defeated the Midianites. So this is Judges 8 and 22. Then the man of Israel said unto Gideon, rule thou over us, both thou and thy son, and thy son's son also, for thou hast delivered us from the hand of the Midianites, of the hand of Midian. Now those Midianites are relatives to Ishmaelites, which are Arabs. So the Israelites wanted Gideon to be their king. They wanted Gideon to rule over them after he had defeated the Midianites concerning Judges 8 and 22. Okay, and let's look at verse 23. And Gideon said unto them, I will not rule over you, neither shall my son rule over you. The Lord Yahweh shall rule over you. Verse 24. And Gideon said unto them, I will desire a request of you, that ye would give me every man the earrings of his prey, for they had golden earrings, because they were Ishmaelites. And the Ishmaelites, which are the Arabs, and the Midianites, which are relatives to the Arabs, they wore golden earrings. Okay. Now, let's skip over to Judges 9 and 7. And I'm going to show you on a metaphorical level, or you can say an allegorical level, that Gideon and the Israelites that's talking about, that this being talked about, Judges chapter 8, beginning with verse 22 and stopping on verse 24. Judges 8, beginning with verse 22, stopping on verse 24. All this is talking about the Israelites wanting Gideon to rule over them for defeating the Midianites. And I'm going to show you that this is an allegory in Judges chapter 9 that compares Gideon and the Israelite as trees. So let's go to Judges 9. Let's skip down basically. This is Judges, the 9th chapter here. We're going to begin with the 7th verse. And when they told it to Jotham, basically, he went and stood in the top of Mount Gerizim, and lifted up his voice and cried, and said unto them, Hearken unto me, ye men of Shechem, that God may hearken unto you. Now pay close attention to Judges 9 and 8. Now watch this. This is Judges 9 and 8. It says, The trees went forth on a time to anoint a king over them. And they said unto the olive tree, Reign thou over us. Now where was this said? This was said in Judges, the 8th chapter, and the 22nd verse, as you can see. Judges 8, 22nd verse. Then the men of Israel said unto Gideon, Rule thou over us. So the men of Israel told Gideon to rule over them. They wanted to make Gideon their king. Judges 9. Let's go back to Judges chapter 9, right? And let's look at 8. The trees went forth on a time to anoint a king over them. Now, who was the trees? The Israelites. And they said unto the olive tree. Now, who was the olive tree? The olive tree was Gideon, who defeated the Midianites. They said to the olive tree, Reign thou over us. So, Judges 9 and 8 is basically talking about the same thing in Judges 8 in verse Judges 8 and verse 22. Judges chapter 9 and 8, it's the same thing as Judges 8 and 22. Judges 8 and 22 speaks of man of Israel being literal man. Judges 9 and 8 speaks of the men of Israel being trees. Okay? Judges 8 and 22 speaks of Gideon being a literal man. Judges 9 and 8 speaks of Gideon being an olive tree. Okay? So you can see right there, and there's more to it, brothers and sisters, when you read on down. Because let's read Judges 9 and 8 again. The trees went forth on a time to anoint a king over them, and they said unto the olive tree, Reign over us. The Israelites told the olive tree, which was Gideon, right? So you can see it's comparing them to trees. But the olive tree said, which is Gideon, and to them, Should I leave my fatness wherewith by me they honor God and man, and go to be promoted over the trees and over those with the Israelites, right? Okay, and brothers and sisters, Judges 9 and 10. And the tree said to the fig tree, come thou and reign over us. Because Israel wanted Gideon's sons to reign over them, because Gideon wouldn't do it. So the trees, which are the Israelites, said to the fig tree, come thou and reign over us, as you can see. So the fig tree was one of Gideon's sons. All right. And it goes on and on. It goes on down. You can see for yourself. So I need not to say more to explain. You can see that the Israelites were known as trees. So when you go back, into Revelation 8 and 7, and it speaks of the earth and the third part of the trees were burnt up, those are the Israelites. Those are the Jews. Now, what about the grass? Because I know some of you brothers and sisters saying, well, what about the grass? Let's explain, and we're going to show you as well that the Israelites are the grass. So let's go to Job 5 and 25. We are in the book of Job, chapter 5. And we're going to start at 25 to show you that the Israelites was counted as the grass as well. Job 5:25. Thou shalt know also that thy seed shall be great. Now this is basically was told to now this is speaking on the behalf of Job's descendants, I believe. And this is once again Job chapter 5 verse 25. Thou shalt know also that thy seed shall be great, and thy offspring as the grass of the earth. So Job offspring, okay, was counted as the grass of the earth. All right. And we know that Job was a child of the Most High. So his offspring was counted as the grass of the earth. So let's go back to Revelation 8 and verse 7. Revelation chapter 8 verse 7. The first angel sounded. There followed hell and fire mingled with blood. We went over that. They were cast upon the earth. A third part of the trees was burnt up, and all the grass was burnt up. That's talking about 70 A.D. when the Jews was trodden by the Romans. Now let's deal with the second angel. And the second angel sounded. So the second angel sounded, brothers and sisters. All right. Now what is the second angel? The second angel sounded. This is Revelation 8 and 8. What is the second angel? The second angel is dealing with around the time of 1492. 1492 to 604, which is talking about the Renaissance. Okay. The Renaissance following Christopher Columbus, how he carried out genocide on the North American Indians, which are the Gadites, the Israelites from the tribe of Gad. That's what this is talking about. The second angel sounded, and as it were a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea, and the third part of the sea became blood. Now that's what that's talking about, 1492 to 1604. So the second angel that sounded, as it were a great mountain. Now that great mountain, it says that great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea. Now what it's talking about? Okay. The great mountain is talking about the Israelites, okay? Because they was cast down. The Spaniards, the conquistadors, Christopher Columbus and his henchmen, his men, right, murdered various Taino Indians, Boricua Taino Indians, which are modern day Puerto Ricans from the tribe of Ephraim, which also was Israelites, and many more indigenous tribes, which were Israelites. Christopher Columbus and his man murdered. That's on the behalf of the great mountain burning with fire. Also, brothers and sisters, if you did not know this, the Spaniards burned the Taínos, and also down from the Taínos to down to the Tainos, to the North American Indians, the Europeans, they used to burn them alive, brothers and sisters, if you didn't know that. So the great mountain burning is the northern kingdom of Israel, all right? Burning with fire and was cast into the sea. Now I'm going to show you this. Let me show you a precept. This is Isaiah, the book of Isaiah, chapter 2, as you can see. Isaiah, chapter 2, and we'll read the verse 2. Isaiah 2, and we'll start with verse 1 and read the verse 2. The word that Isaiah, the son of Amoz, saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem, right? Judah and Jerusalem, that's the southern kingdom, as you can see, right? But we're dealing with the northern kingdom right now. Now Isaiah 2 verse 2. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord Yahweh's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all the nations shall flow into it. Now this is talking about in the end time when blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, which are the Israelites, would get their kingdom back, and we will rule in the kingdom of heaven as kings and queens. It shall come to pass concerning Isaiah 2 and 2 in the last days that the mountain. Now did not Revelation 8 and verse 8 tells you that the second angel sounded, and as it were a great mountain burning with fire cast into the sea. What was that mountain? We're showing you. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house, the mountain of Yahweh's house. Now who is that? The children of Israel shall be established in the top of the mountains, right? Right here is referring to Jerusalem. And it shall be exalted above the hills, meaning that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, which are the Israelites, is going to be put above all other Gentiles and heathen nations. Okay, and they're going to be subjected under the kingdom of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. All right, and they're going to have to keep the feast days. They're going to have to come up, keep the 7 days, all that good stuff. So shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow into it. See, so that's what it's talking about on the behalf of the mountains. Okay, now let's go back to Revelation 8 and 8. Revelation 8 and 8. The second angel sounded as it were a great mountain. That's Israel, the northern kingdom, burning with fire, and was cast into the sea. Okay. It says, and the third part of the sea became blood. Why? Because there were massive killing during the time of 1492 to 1604. Christopher Columbus, we call him Christopher Columbus, because he killed numerous Taino Indians from the tribe of Ephraim. He also killed many his men also killed many of the Latin tribes, which are the so-called Cubans from the tribe of Manasseh. All right, going all the way down to the Native American Indians. Okay, but we basically dealing with 1492 right now to 1604. That's what it's talking about. The Renaissance on Revelation 8 and 8. Now let's explain the sea, because Revelation 8 and 8 says there was the great mountain burning with fire and was cast into the sea. Yeah, they burned a lot of Israelites alive, and that's what cast into the sea means. We're going to show you exactly what cast into the sea means. So let's go to Amos 7 and 4. This is the book of Amos, as you can see. Amos, however you want to call it, 7, right? And we'll begin with verse 4. Amos 7 and 4. Thus had the Lord Yahweh, God, power, the Lord, right? Thus said the Lord Yahweh, power, show unto me, and behold, Yahweh, power, the Lord God, called to contend by fire, and it devoured the great deep, and it did eat up a part. Now what is that talking about? The children of Israel, being punished by the heathen. Let's read it again, Isaiah 7 and 4. Thus have the Lord God, Yahweh power, showed unto me, and behold, the Lord God, Yahweh power, called to contend by fire, and it devoured the great deep. It devoured the great deep, and did eat it up, and did eat apart, then did eat up a part. Now, did not Revelation 8 and verse 8 tells you about that mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea, and a third part of the sea became blood? Okay, this is Amos 7 and 4. It devoured the great deep, and did eat up a part. Okay. Amos 7 and 5. Then said I, O Lord God, Yahweh power, cease. I beseech thee. I basically beg thee, by whom shall Jacob arise? For he is small. Because, yeah, the Israelites were killed off, man, by the Spaniards, the conquistadors, during the 14th century to the 16th century. And that's what we're bringing out on the behalf of the sea. Okay, brothers and sisters? So let's go back to Revelation 8 and 8. Revelation 8 and 8. And the second angel sounded, and as it were a great mountain, the Israelites, northern kingdom, burning with fire. The conquistadors did just that, burnt various northern kingdom Israelites, slaughtered them, and said what? And was cast into the sea. Now, we just showed you that on the behalf of Amos 7 and 4. Brothers and sisters. Right? It says, and the third part of the sea became blood. The third part of the sea became blood. This is also known as the manifest destiny. Okay? Some people call 1492, the runners from 1492, from 1604, the manifest destiny. Right? Brothers and sisters. Okay, so verse 9. In the third part, this is Revelation 8 and 9. In the third part of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died. And the third part of the ships were destroyed. Now, what is that talking about? The third part of the creatures which were in the sea had life died. And the third part of the ships were destroyed. Those ships are talking about the naval forces. Basically, those ships that the Spaniards sailed upon, Christopher Columbus and his men. A lot of those ships were destroyed. A lot of those ships shipwrecked, brothers and sisters. All right? They were destroyed. And right here, where it speaks of the third part of creatures which were in the sea had life died. Basically, you got to understand that they was also, the Spaniards were also shipping Northern Kingdom Israelites, basically what you would call Boricua Taino Indians, which are modern day Puerto Ricans, okay, the Nazarites, which are Cubans, all right. They were shipping those indigenous people across the sea back to Spain in different parts of Europe to raise them as slaves on the plantation. All right. So a lot of the indigenous people, which are the northern kingdom of Israel, basically the Latin, Hispanic tribes today, they didn't make it, man. Because why? It says that the third part of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died. Okay. They didn't make it. Some of them was murdered, going on their way back to Spain and different regions in Europe. And they also just throw the indigenous people off the boat as well, man. Anytime they felt like it. If they rebelled against the European order. Okay, so let's continue on. Revelation 8 and 10. And the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp. And it fell upon the third part of the rivers, and upon the fountains of the water. We're going to break this down. All right. So the third angel that sounded What is that talking about? That's talking about the transatlantic slave trade, brothers and sisters, that basically was kicked off in the 16th century. 1619, they brought 30 slaves on a boat to the shores of America to Jamestown, Virginia. 1619. This prophecy is talking about this prophecy in Revelation 8 and 10. That's the third angel. That's when the southern kingdom of Israel was brought over here. Okay, from the west coast of Africa after they fled into Africa, fleeing away from the Romans in 70 AD. Okay, that's what it's talking about. The third angel is what you would call 1619, the transatlantic slave trade. Some call it the Middle Passage. Some may call it the triangular trade. But that's what it's talking about. All right. It says that the third angel sounded. There fell a great star from heaven. Right. And it says, burning as it were a lamp. And it fell upon the third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of the waters. We will break this down. Revelation 11, Revelation 8, verse 11. And the name of the star is called wormwood. And the third part of the waters became wormwood, and many men of the waters, because they were made bitter. Many men died of the waters because they were made bitter. Let's break this down. It says that basically 78. So let's give you a rundown. Let's go back up. Revelation 8, verse 7. The first angel is 70 AD. Okay. The Jerusalem temple. The Romans tried the Jews. Okay. And took them back as slaves to Rome. The second angel is the manifest destiny. Or you can say the conquest of Christopher Columbus from 1492 to 1604. The third angel is basically 1619, what we're going over now, the transatlantic slave trade. All these accounts happen to the Israelites, what we're reading about. So we right here, the third angel, Revelation 8 and 10. The third angel sounded, there fell a star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp, and it fell upon the third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of the water. And the name of the star is called wormwood. Now let's identify wormwood. We're going to Jeremiah 9 and 13. Jeremiah 9 and 13. The book of Jeremiah, chapter 9, beginning with verse 13. On the behalf of wormwood, concerning Revelation chapter 8, verse 11, it says that the name of the star is called wormwood. So we're going to go over that. This is Jeremiah 9 and 13. And Yahweh said, because they have forsaken my law, which I set before them, and have not obeyed my voice, neither walked therein. Because the Israelites did that. They rejected the commandments of God. They were defiant children. They were disobedient children. All right. They rebelled against the Most High and did not keep his commandments. All right. Jeremiah 9 and 14. And it says, but have walked after the imaginations of their own hearts, and after Baalim, which their fathers taught them. Now, Baalim here is Baal, and there are many Baals in the earth. Even today, Baal was the ancient Phoenician sun deity, who the Israelites first started worshiping in the book of I believe it's in the book of Judges. No, Joshua, I believe. And they started going off, and I believe it's Joshua Judges that the Israelites started worshiping Baal, the sun deity. He was the Canaanites' god, the South Africans, the Hamitic god. So the Israelites walked after him, and they didn't listen to the Most High, which their fathers, and they didn't listen to what their fathers taught them. So Jeremiah 9 and 14. But have walked after the imaginations of their own heart, and after Baalim, which their fathers taught them. So they did this evil in the Most High's eyes, right? Continue on. Jeremiah 9 and 15. Therefore thus said the Lord Yahweh of the hosts of the God of Israel, the God of the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, which are the Israelites today, according to the biblical prophecies, the God of Israel, behold, I will feed them, even this people, with wormwood, and give them water of gall to drink. So the Most High said that he was going to feed us with wormwood for being defiant, for being disobedient, for being delinquent. He said he was going to feed us with wormwood. Now, what is that wormwood? Slavery. That's what he fed the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans with. That's why we caught hell during the transatlantic slave trade from the 1600s all the way up into the 18th century. When Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, things kind of got easier then. But we suffered from the 16th century all the way up into the 18th century. And we suffered with what? It says that the Most High did what? He fed us wormwood right here. Jeremiah 9 and 16. I will scatter them also among the heathen. Now, how was the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans scattered among the heathen? Slavery. They took us to different plantations and lands and regions. See, I will scatter them also among the heathen, whom neither they nor their fathers have known, and I will send a sword after them till I have consumed them. So, on the behalf of Revelation chapter 8, says that the name of the star is called wormwood, which is talking about that in Revelation 8:11. That wormwood is slavery, man, pursuant to Jeremiah 9, 15, and 16. So let's go back to Revelation chapter 8 and verse 11. We're back into Revelation 8, verse 11. See? So it's talking about from Revelation chapter 8, verse 10. We read about the third angel sounded. There fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp, fell upon the third part of the rivers, and upon the fountains of the waters. Revelation 8 and 11. In the name of the star, that same star that fell from heaven, the name of the star is called wormwood. Now that's slavery, man. The Most High sent slavery down on the children of Israel for disobedience. We saw that pursuant to Jeremiah 15 and 16. It says, and the third part of the waters became wormwood, brothers and sisters. The third part of the waters became wormwood, and many men died of the waters because they were made bitter. Okay, brothers and sisters. Many men died of the waters because they was made bitter. Do you see that? That's talking about slavery. That's talking about slavery that the Jews received for breaking God's commandments, man. That's talking about 1619, the transatlantic slave trade. The Most High allowed the so-called black man, black woman, black child to go into slavery for being defiant against his will, for not listening to his commandments. This is also, let me show you another one, Isaiah 30 and 20. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 30, right? Chapter 30, beginning with the verse 20. It says, and though the Lord Yahweh give you the bread of adversity. Now, what is the bread of adversity? Slavery, man. And the water of affliction. What is the water of affliction? Blacks, Hispanics. Okay, primarily dealing with the transatlantic slave trade, 1619. Black man, black woman, and black children. The bread of adversity in Isaiah 30:20 is slavery. The water of affliction is you crying, you weeping, you mourning. Because the oppressor beating the hell out of you, blacks, black man, black woman, and black children. Yet shall not thy teachers be removed in a corner anymore, but thy eyes shall see thy teachers. And that's what you're seeing today. You're seeing the brothers that's out and about on the highways, the hedges, bringing forth this word, waking up blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, telling them that we the Israelites and that we ought to repent and keep God's commands. So let's go back to Revelation chapter 8 and go back to 11. Back into Revelation the 8th chapter, verse 11. And the name of the star is called wormwood, and the third part of the waters became wormwood, and many men died of the waters because they were made bitter. That's called transatlantic slave trade, 1619, all the way up into the 18th century. We suffered slavery. chattel slavery by the white man, which are the Edomites, pursuing the scriptures. Now, Revelation 8 and 12. And the fourth angel sounded, and the part of the sun was smitten. Now, what is this fourth angel? The fourth angel is talking about the knowledge that was taken away from us as a nation. And I'm talking about both kingdoms, the southern and the northern kingdom, which all makes up blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans today. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, which are the Israelites, okay, many years ago, you upset at the Most High. You pissed him off, and he took away your knowledge because he set us up as kings and queens in the beginning. He set us up as noble men and women and children, but we pissed him off. We rebelled against his commandments. We rejected his order. And guess what he did? He took away all the knowledge that we had. And this is the fourth angel. That fourth angel is on the behalf of the knowledge that was taken away from the nation of Israel. And that's why blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, that's why we are so damn sottish and stupid today. But we must come out of this and return back to these laws to show these heathens that we are noble man, woman, and children. So, and the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten. Now, the sun represents wisdom. The sun is in referral to wisdom, enlightenment. Okay, to enlighten is to brighten. That's what the sun is. Great wisdom. Okay, great intellect. But that third part of the sun was smitten. It says, in the third part of the moon. Now, what the moon represents? The moon represents understanding. So the sun is the wisdom that was smitten. The moon is the understanding. And the third part of the stars. Okay, so if I said that right, let me go back. The sun is wisdom. I believe the moon is knowledge. Okay. The moon is knowledge. So a third part of the sun, which is the wisdom, was smitten, was taken from Israel. A third part of the knowledge, which is the moon, was taken from Israel. And the third part of the understanding, which is the stars, was taken from Israel. So as the third part of them was darkened, right? And the day shone not for a third part of it, and the night likewise. So this is talking about the knowledge, wisdom, and the understanding, basically, or you could say the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding on the behalf of the fourth angel when he blew, that was taken from Israel as a nation. Revelation 8 and 13. And I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, woe, woe, woe. Now these three woes, the first woe is World War I, the second woe is World War II, and the third woe is World War III. To the inhabitants of the earth, by reason of the other voices of the trumpet of the three angels, which are yet to sound. Now, brothers and sisters, I went over Revelation 8 and 12 concerning the fourth angel that sounded. That's talking about wisdom, knowledge, and understanding being taken away from Israel. Okay. This is 2nd Ezra, chapter 5, verse 1 in the Apocryphal books. Okay. 2nd Ezra, chapter 5. Now, before we get into it, these are the Apocryphal books, the 14 books that was extracted, taken out the King James 1611 edition in the mid-18th century by the Roman Catholic Protestants. They actually removed these books from the Bible. These books are no longer in your Bible. But I will recommend you to get these books, because without these books, you are missing 300 to 400 years of missing history concerning the Bible. So to bridge the gap, please get these books, the Apocryphal books. So within these Apocryphal books, we are in 2nd Ezra, chapter 5. And this is all concerning the knowledge, the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that was taken away from Israel. As we was going over the fourth angel that sounded in Revelation chapter 8, verse 12, we was going over that. We're going to show you that a precept about wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the nation of Israel being taken away. 2nd Ezra 5 and 1. Nevertheless, as concerning the tokens, behold, the day shall come that they which dwell upon the earth shall be taken in a great number, and the way of the truth shall be hidden. See, and that's on the behalf of Revelation 8 and 12 about the fourth angel sounding, and the third part of the sun, the third part of the moon, and the stars were smitten. But that's this right here within 2nd Ezra chapter 5 verse 1. It tells you what? That nevertheless, as concerning the tokens, behold, the day shall come that they which dwell upon the earth shall be taken in a great number, and the way of the truth shall be what? Hidden, and the land shall be barren of faith. See that? So the way of the truth shall be hidden. That's what happened to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans as the Israelites. All right. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 5 verse 2. But iniquity shall be increased above that which now thou seest, or that thou hast heard long ago. 2nd Ezra 5 and 3. And the land that thou seest now to have root, shall thou see it wasted suddenly. 2nd Ezra chapter 5 verse 4. But if the Most High grant thee to live, thou shalt see after the third trumpet. See? Let me read that again. This is 2nd Ezra 5 and 4. But if the Most High, the God of Israel, the God of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, grant thee to live, thou shalt see after the third trumpet that the sun shall suddenly shine again, and the night and the moon thrice in the day. And thrice is 3 times. So, pursuing the 2nd Ezra, chapter 5, verse 4, it says that basically, according to the grace of the Most High, he restored the knowledge and wisdom back to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans as the nation of Israel. When did he do this? It says, but if the Most High grant thee to live, thou shalt see after the third trumpet that the sun shall suddenly shine again. After the third trumpet, pursuing 2nd Ezra 5 and 4. Now, after that third trumpet, brothers and sisters, we're reading in Revelation chapter 8, verse 12, after the third trumpet, because we seen in Revelation 8 and 10, it says, and the third angel sounded. So that third angel sounded the third trumpet. But it says after the third trumpet. Now what's come after the third trumpet? The fourth trumpet, pursuant to 2nd Ezra 5 and 4, it said after the third trumpet, guess what? The sun shall shine again. The Most High will give us back our knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And that's why in Revelation chapter 8, verse 12, the fourth angel sounded, and our wisdom, knowledge, and understanding was taken away. But the Most High was grateful and merciful to give us that knowledge back again. Okay, that was the fourth angel. So the fourth angel, so let's go back over all these angels. The first angel, 70 AD. The second angel, 1492, talking about the Renaissance, which was 1492 to 1604. The third angel is simply talking about the transatlantic slave trade. Some call it the Middle Passage. Some call it the Triangular Trade, which began at 1619 all the way to the late 18th century. The fourth angel is talking about the wisdom, the knowledge, and the understanding that was taken from Israel. And now we on the fifth angel in Revelation chapter 9. So we are rocking and rolling, brothers and sisters. Take notes. And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star from heaven into the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. Now, this is talking about the fifth angel. This is going into now what you would call the world wars. How do we know that? Because if you back up and read Revelation 8 and 13, which is the last verse, 13th verse, which is the last verse in Revelation chapter 8 before you get to chapter 9, it speaks of 3 woes. It says, woe, woe, woe. Those woes are World War 1, 2, and 3. All right? So now, when you begin with chapter 9 of Revelation, the fifth angel sounded the trumpet is going into the world wars now. It says, and I saw a star fall from heaven into the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. Brothers and sisters, now that fifth angel that sounded, this is World War I, dealing with Germany. The bottomless pit is Europe. The bottomless pit have very little mineral resources. Okay, it has very little mineral resources deficiency, and therefore Europe is not rich when it comes down to agriculture, when it comes down to irrigation or mineral resources. Europe is not a rich region. That's why it's known as the bottomless pit. All right, so that's talking about the bottomless pit. Now, brothers and sisters, where did World War One take place at, brothers and sisters? Basically World War One and Two. Where did World War One and Two take place? World War One and Two happened predominantly in Europe, brothers and sisters. Now America sent out people, they sent people out, but World War One and Two happened predominantly in Europe. So this is going into the world wars. And we're dealing with World War One on the behalf of Germany on the fifth angel that sounded, brothers and sisters. So when you read all the way down, this is talking about World War One. All right, and I'm not going to explain the whole chapter because there's a lot to go over. I'm just trying to show you, brothers and sisters, the main ingredients to the seven angels that sounded these seven trumpets. All right, so yeah, brothers and sisters, when you read all the way down, it speaks about, and there came out smoke, locusts is upon the earth. Those are warplanes. All right, those are warplanes. Okay, even when you go back up and read Revelation 9 and 2, and he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose smoke out the pit. Now, what is that on the behalf, the smoke coming out the pit? Brothers and sisters, that's because of the war. That's because of the bombs, the explosion, and all this diverse calamity going on during World War One. That created the smoke out of Europe. As smoke of a great furnace, the bombs, the bombings, the explosions that was happening during that war. And the sun and the air was darkened by what? Bombs, explosions, heavy artillery, by the reason of the smoke of the pit. Because World War One and Two predominantly happened in Europe. Okay, World War Three is going to happen in the Persian Gulf, right? Right above, I believe, around somewhere, the Persian Gulf, I believe, yeah. So anyways, Revelation 9 and 3, and there came out the smoke, locusts, basically like that, those explosions, that smoke of explosion came out warplanes upon the earth, locusts, and to them was given power as scorpions of the earth, that have power, was given power as scorpions of the earth. Now, a lot of you not going to understand this, but brothers and sisters, I'm just trying to pick out points to make you understand. All right. These are just talking about warplanes. All right. So I'm going to go down to the sixth angel now. I'm not going to just remember Revelation primarily chapter 9 is talking about World War One. I'm going to go all the way down now. All right. So when you go all the way down, I'm going down to Revelation 9 and 11. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit. So Germany, dealing with World War One, okay, Germany had a king over them. That king, pursuant to Revelation 9 and 11, was his name is known as Kaiser William. Kaiser William, right? He was the last king, basically, of what you would call the last true monarch of Europe. And he was a German king, and that's who it's talking about. They had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, which is Europe. The name in Hebrew tongue is Abaddon or Abaddon, but in Greek tongue had his name Apollyon. Now, what does that mean? Okay, that just means the destroyer. Okay, because he was the destroyer. Now it goes all the way down to Revelation 9 and 12. One woe is past. Now, what was that one woe that passed? World War One, man. Okay. And behold, there come two woes more hereafter. The two woes were World War II and 3. Now you can see for yourselves. So two woes is next to come. Now, has not World War II happened already? Yeah, it has happened already. So basically, when you read Revelation 9 and 13, it says, and the sixth angel that sounded, that sixth angel, that's going into what you would call World War II. which happened predominantly in Europe. See, and this basically is talking about basically World War II and what happened between World War and in the midst of World War II, nuclear destruction, nuclear missiles. All this is talking about this. All right, on the behalf of the sixth angel, brothers and sisters, I'm just giving you a quick rundown. All right, so yeah, brothers and sisters, when you read it, says the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar which is before God. Revelation 9:14, saying to the sixth angel which had the trumpet, loose the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. All right, Revelation 9:15. All right. So when it says loose the Revelation 9:14, when it says loose the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates, that's talking about the Middle East. Okay, basically around the region of Iraq. Revelation 9:15. And the four angels were loose, which were prepared for an hour, and a day, and a month, and a year, for to slay the third part of man. Brothers and sisters, this is talking about this World War II event that's leading to World War III as well. Okay, now right here, Revelation 9:16. It says, and the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, basically 200 million. The number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, 200 million, and I heard the number of them. So as you can see right there, brothers and sisters, you can see that there's a lot of artillery and it's a lot of individuals that's participating in this war to come. All right, but anyways, let's get to the missiles. I'm gonna show you the missiles too. Okay, I'm not going to show you all of it, but I'm going to show you some of it. Revelation 9:17. And thus I saw the horse in the vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire, and of jacinth, and of brimstone, and the heads of the horsemen were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouth issued fire and smoke and brimstone. This is an allegory. What is this talking about? This is talking about German soldiers, brothers and sisters, okay? That's what it's talking about on the behalf of Revelation 9:17, all right? That's what it's talking about, all right? And it says, Revelation 9, and not only German soldiers, many other soldiers. Revelation 9:18. And by these three was the third part of man killed by the fire, and by the smoke, and by the brimstone which issued out of their mouths, brothers and sisters. So, yeah. Going on down to the nuclear missiles. Verse 19. For their power is in their mouth. The mouth of these ICBM missiles is known as warheads. So the powers is in their mouth and in their tails. The tails of these ICBM missiles is known as thrusters. The thrusters allows these ICBMs to propel. So that's the power. That's the power in their mouth. The mouth of the missile is the warhead, and in their tails, that's the thruster of the missile that allows a missile to propel. For their tails were likened to serpents, right? Because when a missile being shot off in the air, it leaves a long trail of smoke that looks like a serpent. It said it had heads, and with them they do hurt. And the heads going back to the warhead. Because they do hurt, they destroy, they incinerate, they burn you alive, man. Okay, that's all it's talking about, going all the way down. Now let's go over to, because we went down to the sixth angel, so we're going to do a quick rundown going all the way back up to the first angel. Revelation 8 and 7, first angel, 70 AD. Revelation 8 and 8, the second angel is 1492 to 1604, the manifest destiny. The third angel out of Revelation 8 and 10. Third angel, transatlantic slave trade. Okay, 1619, on the behalf of the so-called black man, black woman, black child being brought to the shores of America. Revelation 8 and 12, the fourth angel is the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding being taken away from Israel. Going down to the fifth angel. The fifth angel is what you would call World War I. Okay, the sixth angel is what you would call World War II, and also you can tie World War 3 in World War II, and you can tie World War III in that. Okay. And now we're going to skip over to the book of Revelation, the 11th chapter. And we're going to skip to the 15th verse to show you the 7th angel. And that'll be all the angels. This is Revelation chapter 11, beginning with the 15th verse on the behalf of the 7th angel. Now we're going to start with the 14th verse of Revelation chapter 11. And we'll work our way down to the 15th verse. The second war is past. So you can see right there, the second war was past. That was World War II, which predominantly happened in Europe. So you can see right there that 6th angel is on the behalf of World War I and II. The six angels basically are on the behalf of World War I and II and some of 3. It say the second war was past, pursuing Revelation 11 and 14. And behold, the third war come quickly. The third war is World War III. So I believe that 7th angel is World War III. Yeah, the 7th angel is the beginning of World War III. And the end of the 7th angel is the reign of Israel, when blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans would get their kingdom and we would rule this earth again, like we did a long time ago. Revelation 11:15. And the 7th angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven, saying, the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Lord, Yahweh, the God of Israel, and of his Christ, which is Yahweh Shai, who they call Jesus. And he shall reign forever and forever. So as you can see, we have broken down all of the 7 angels with the 7 trumpets, brothers and sisters, and I hope you was edified, man. Okay, so we broke down all the 7 angels and the 7 trumpets in Revelation 8 chapter, Revelation 9 chapter, and skipping from the 9th chapter to the 11th chapter. We gave you all what you would call the 7 angels, which had the 7 trumpets prepared to sound. With this has been another lesson on the behalf of Solid Foundation, Israelite Academy. Spread the knowledge, share it with brothers and sisters, help many others. Once again, shalom.